Okay, in this video, I'm going to share with you what may be killing your high notes. And I'm going to be blunt because you may be doing some of these things and not even know it. But I'm also going to give you some tips on how you can get past all this. Okay, now the first thing you may be doing is pulling up too much weight in the voice and knocking out your first bridge. Now, what do I mean by that? Number one, what's the first bridge? The first bridge is your transition from your chest voice into your mix. And if your voice is too heavy and you've got too much weight in the voice, you're not going to be able to make that bridge. It's like driving too fast in first gear and not being able to shift into second gear. Okay, so that's the first thing. And one of the main culprits of that is the muscles that work the vocal cords are not balancing together. So you've got two sets of muscles that work the vocal cords. We'll call them TA and CT for short. TA is thyroarytenoid. CT is cracothyroid. So the TA controls the chest voice, right? My low notes. The CT controls my high notes. Stretch and thin the cords for the high notes is what the CT does. The TA makes the cords a little shorter and fatter for the low notes. Now the middle voice of the mix, right as you go into that first bridge, is where those two sets of muscles have to work together, because ordinarily it's like a tug of war between those two sets of muscles, right? And when you're singing high notes, the CT is winning. When you're singing the low notes, the TA is winning. But when you're singing in the middle voice in the mix, where a lot of songs are in that bridge, and that's the transition to the high notes, that's where they have to really kind of work together. If you're too TA dominant, you're going to have too much weight in the voice, and it's not going to be able to thin out for you to get through the bridge and up into your high notes. So that's the first thing. You got to learn how to thin the voice out so you can knock the high notes out, right? And while we're on this, I have a great video that comes as a bonus with my Fearless Singing book that you may want to get. My Fearless Singing book is great, but the video on my THF System for high notes goes over this extensively. It's about a half-hour video, and it's really detailed. If you're interested in that, put book in the comments, and I'll get it to you. There's also a link in the description. My book is Fearless Singing, and then the video is the THF System. Put book in the comments or click the link in the description. Anyway, let's get on to number two. Number two is one of the main culprits for throwing off the balance between the TA and the CT, and that is your vowels. Now, I know vowels. Well, I speak. I know how to say vowels, A, E, I, O, U in English, or A, E, O, U, and maybe Spanish or Italian, and then various other languages. I've worked with people in almost any language you can mention. I don't speak any of them, but it doesn't matter because the sounds are all the same and the principles are all the same. If you're not properly dialing in your vowels, tuning in your vowels so that your voice is in what we call a vocal alignment, right? All the vowels are in line. So you're not doing ah, e, oo, o, ah. So none of that's happening, right? Everything is sitting in a line. Ah, o, oo, e, I, e. Everything sits in alignment, right? So the voice is basically vertical. So you don't have your vowels going in and out and in and out and in and out. If that's not happening for you and you don't know how to do that and it isn't natural for you, then most of us, as we approach our high notes or go through that first bridge or try to get through the first bridge, are going to go too broad on some of these wide vowels, like an ah or an ah, right? We're going to be going up the scale, and it's going to go ah, and we're just going to go broader and broader and broader, open the mouth wider and wider and wider. Larynx is going to start going up higher and higher and higher, and the next thing you know, we get to the top of our chest voice where we're really TA dominant, and we're supposed to hand off to the CTs, right? Or we're supposed to shift into second gear, and we can't do it because there's too much compression and weight in the voice, and it's all due to the vowels. Right? So you got to take care of your vowels. And again, put book in the comments if you want to grab my Fearless Singing book and my THF System, which kind of guides you and helps you through this stuff. Anyway, on to number three. And number three, my friends, is confidence. How are you going to have confidence if number one and number two aren't working, right? It's scary to go out and sing high notes. You got to have some confidence in that. Let me give you a little fun example. Where's my pen? Here it is. So, I was shown this example by a great teacher of mine years ago, and it's really cool, and it's really pertinent, and it will make sense. For a singer, for many of us, who didn't have high notes, initially. By the way, put in the comments, have you always had high notes, or have you had to learn them? And what's going on with your high notes? What is your main challenge? Can you identify with what I'm saying here? Just put yes in the comments. Just say, yeah, I can identify, or this is the kind of challenge I'm having. Anyway, so the confidence issue. Singing high notes for most singers who have not had them when they were younger. I didn't have them at all. I had to build them in. So I still have a little bit of a memory of not having them. Quite frankly and honestly, I have a big memory of not having them, right? If I go in front of an audience still, it crosses my mind a little. I have to kind of, really be centered and really, really be present with where I am now, because I had the experience of missing high notes a lot, not being able to do them. So high notes, you need a lot of confidence for, and you need the proper mindset. So let me give you a little example here. It's a little bit like walking a tightrope, right? People that have always had high notes, maybe it's not the same. But if you've always had great high notes, you're probably not watching this video. But imagine this. When we're down in our chest voice and we're TA dominant, right? We're strong. If we're hanging on, if this is our note, we got it like this. It's very secure. It's not going anywhere, right? We got no big deal, right? But the higher we go, as we go and approach our bridge and get into our high notes, we have to start letting go. We no longer get to have it like this. We get about this much of it. Well, that doesn't feel that secure, does it? Oh my gosh, my voice could crack. It could fall out. Maybe I won't make it. So singing with this much hold, right, in front of an audience is no big deal. I got this. I got a grip on it. I got a hold on it. I've got control over it. But now, in front of an audience, we're being asked to allow ourselves to only have this much on a high note in front of an audience, and we get this much. You got to, number one, have a great technique and be balanced with the things that I'm talking about in 1 and 2, but you got to have the confidence to know that they are going to work for you, right? Without old memories of having it not work pop up, right? So, because some of us have had those. We've had old memories of like, oh gosh, I remember when I couldn't do this. What if that happens now? So you got to have the confidence. That's one big thing my book on fearless singing goes. So again, put book in the comments if you want to get it. I go into a lot to this, the technique, the mindset, and the performance aspect of this. That'll help you a lot, or the link's in the description. Anyway, those are the 3 main things. Let me know if you have any of those. Let me know, like, right, 1, 2, or 3, right? Number 1 was too much weight in the voice. Number 2 was your vowels are off. Number 3 is you don't have confidence. Or you might have all of them, right? I had all of them, right? I was very gifted with all of those challenges. Way too much weight in my voice, vowels all over the place, and no confidence whatsoever. Because what would I have confidence in? My voice wasn't working, right? Anyway, once you start really nailing this stuff, you are going to want to learn how to do what every singer wants to do with their high notes, and that's belting, right? So once you get this stuff going, or even before you get this stuff going, because this is a great video I made on belting. I don't know whether to point there or point there. You'd think I'd know this by now, but go watch that video on belting, because that's what you get to look forward to once you nail this stuff. Okay? Go watch that video next, wherever it is. Bye-bye.